Nsima, do you have problems like me? Like I got a pretty bad sweet tooth. Do you have a sweet tooth?
It used to be worse. It's a little bit better, but it's still there.
Yeah, I still have a hard time taming it. I'm not too bad with like pizza and chips and stuff like that, but leave me alone. Leave me in a room alone with some peanut butter cups, and those things are going to disappear really fast. The problem is stuff like that doesn't help me towards my goals. I want to be leaner. I want to try to get better all the time, and eating a bunch of candy is not going to help me get to my goals, or a bunch of ice cream. But a perfect keto bar will help me get towards a perfect keto bar will help me get towards my goals. So reaching for one of those at the end of the day when I'm having some bad cravings is super convenient for me.
Yeah, 18 grams of fat, 2 carbs, and 11 grams of protein makes for an awesome snack to have, towards the end of your day. The only thing better than that is getting $10 off an entire box of Perfect Keto bars.
What?
Head over to perfectketo.com/powerproject. At checkout, enter promo code PowerProject10 to get $10 off any order of $40 or more.
Wow.
Testing.
Test, Deca, D-ball. Is that your son on your arm there?
Yeah, one of them. That's my oldest. So he's 8. And then I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. So
cool.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going. We were just talking a little bit about motivation and being able to keep going to the gym. How has it worked out for you? Because you've been lifting for a really long time.
I think as I was just saying, it's a journey. I think as I get older, my training's changed just based off of what I like to do. So what I like to do has changed over time. When I was a kid, I liked to run around, jump, pure athlete. Got into bodybuilding because I liked the physique aspect of it, of looking good.
You like the oil, baby oil.
Love the baby oil in the trunks, Speedos. And then got into power because I wanted to be strong, and then figured somewhere along the way that I like to do all of it. So I guess motivation for the gym is just being the best version of me I can be, and having fun, and being the strongest, most athletic, version of me that I can be.
I think most people don't think along those lines enough. Like, what do I like to do? They go to the gym and they're like, oh, I have to do shoulders today, or have to do this today. And why not serve yourself up something nice that you like to do? Whether it's training your arms or bench pressing or whatever it is that you like. Why not hone in on that a little bit more? And that's going to be easier to be consistent with because you already like it.
Oh, 100%. And it's funny we're talking about this because I was just thinking about this. Because I'm kind of, like I said, going through this whole transition of journey of what I want to be. And so many people get caught, and especially nowadays with social media, of what they think they should be. And they see people they see these massive bodybuilders, and they think, well, I want to be massive because this guy is massive and he has lots of followers, and this guy has lots of attention, and that's what I should do. And they end up doing it and they're not happy. Mm-hmm. Or they see guys that are super strong. They think, wow, let me be strong. Let me try this. And they end up doing it, and they don't realize it's not really for them. It's just based off of what they visually see and what they're stimulated by, instead of thinking, okay, let me sit back and realize what's best for me instead of what I see on my phone, So
what was harder for you? Because you did both bodybuilding, or you're doing both bodybuilding and powerlifting. I felt like for myself, the bodybuilding was way harder in terms of kind of like what it does to your brain. Like, it does some positive things. It shows you that, beforehand, before you messed with bodybuilding, that you were a chump and you didn't put as much effort in as you thought. It definitely teaches you that, especially because of the 24-hour discipline. But then there's the side of it where you get kind of sad because you get fat. You get super lean, and you might not even necessarily be quote unquote fat, but you're just fatter than you were before. And you're like, oh man, this in the middle process kind of stinks.
Yeah. I think it's exactly what you said. Bodybuilding is very mental, and there's a real cerebral part to it because of the mind-muscle connection. And yeah, power is tough, but then bodybuilding is just a whole nother level to it. There's a whole different, just another set of rules that you have to play by. And it's very painful. There's a spiritual aspect to it also. So it's kind of like it will take you on this journey as far as it'll show you who you really are and what you're really made of, especially when you're dieting and you're tired and, you have to come in and, you didn't eat, and, it's like, okay, what am I really made of? So there's a real spiritual, cerebral aspect to it, which I love. So yeah, I think I agree. It is tougher. It's probably one of the toughest things I've done. And then, yeah, the middle part does mess you up. So it's kind of like you have to really prep yourself for, okay, I'm not going to be 5% body fat all year long. It's impossible, you know. Even my kid now, when he sees me, he calls me fat because ever since, you know, he was a kid and, you know, he was of age, I've been like 5% body fat. So anything like above 5% body fat, he's just like, Dad, you're fat. You know?
Have you noticed like people are more impressed with the physique versus the strength skill or the strength gains?
It depends. People are different. You know, some people they love the physique and they don't care about the strength, and some people love the strength and don't care about the physique. So,
Yeah.
How long you been doing both?
I started training power after I hurt myself training for info combine about 6 or 7 years ago. Wow. So I was kind of looking for something to do, and I was at Dave Fisher's Powerhouse Gym in Torrance, which is an amazing gym. If you guys are in Torrance, you guys should definitely stop by. Have you been there, Mark?
I've never been, no.
Okay. Well, yeah, we have to get
familiar with the area, though, yeah.
Yeah, so Dave's a IFBB pro, old school. He's trained with Flex Wheeler and Sean Randall, those guys. Anyways, we had a good group of guys there, and there's a group of powerlifters, like real powerlifters, and it's my first time being exposed to them, and they were just like, hey, well, why don't you try power? You're already strong, but, you know, let's actually get your technique down, and, you know, because I was squatting, and, you know, we know how football players squat and deadlift, and, you know, and I fell in love with power about 6-7 years ago, and then ended up meeting Mike, and then he really, you know, showed me how to really power lift and got me, you know, really deep into it, and so, yeah, so it's about 6-7 years ago.
And then what were your numbers? You competed. I know you competed at least once. Have you competed a couple times too?
Yeah, a couple times. I did local competition, Ventura, and then I did nationals.
Cool.
And that was it.
What kind of numbers did you end up with?
Best numbers: 601 squat, 705 deadlift, and a 479 bench press.
Nice.
479.
I almost had a 501 just because I was right here, couldn't lock it out. So that actually, you know, my goals were a 6, 5, and 7. So I'm still kind of hungry to go back for that 5, but, you know, yeah.
You know, we talk a lot about like lifting through things, you know, because we love lifting so much, and it's helped all of us. It's helped, you know, some of us have more courage in our life. It's helped some of us understand persistence. It's helped with all kinds of things. Helped with my brother's death. It helped with when my brother Chris was going through his stuff. I lifted through it. He lifted through it, you know, and it's something that we stay very attached to. What does that look like for you?
And first of all, I love that, man. When you release that literally just hit me right in the heart, man. Because like Mike was saying, dude, you're just a good human, and you're real. You know, you're able to resonate with a lot of people because you're real. And that lift through it, you kind of verbalized and put out there what a lot of people do, and they don't realize what they're doing. So lifting through it, dude, weights, I call it iron therapy. You can come in, you can have all kind of problems, and I always say this, 45 pounds in the gym is always 45 pounds. 10 pounds is always 10 pounds in the gym. The bar, when you pick it up, Olympic bar is always going to be 45 pounds. So it's always a constant. So no matter what's happening in your life, the gym, if you go there, it's always a constant. It's a rock. You know, and for me, I've been through drug abuse, alcohol abuse, prison, just being homeless. My life's been up and down, and a lot of it because of my own dumb decisions. But I was always able to go back to the gym and find myself there. So no matter if I was going through drug addiction, alcohol addiction, or mental problems, I was always able to go to the gym and, like you said, lift through it, man. And able to find myself and redefine myself. Even at my lowest, I was able to like kind of rebuild myself in the gym, man. So it's been awesome. So.
It's pretty cool when you're able to like build yourself up into something, and then you're like, holy shit! Like I kind of thought I was a loser. You know, you said you were addicted to drugs and you were having a lot of issues, and you kind of go down this path, which I saw my brother go down a very destructive path, and he would end up, you know, in like AA and things like that. And he would end up in rehab, and, you know, he would tell me like, oh man, this guy's dirtbag and this guy's doing, and I'm like, dude, like, you know what I mean? Like you're being judged the same way, you know, like the public is judging you the same. That's why you're amongst those people, because you're making these bad decisions. But when you're able to kind of turn things around and you're able to start to exercise and you start to gain a little bit of muscle or gain a little bit of strength, you're like, wow, okay, I can I can formulate some consistency in this area, and I can put time and effort into that, and I can get the desired result that I'm looking for if I just stay disciplined to it. And then you're like, wow, maybe I can take that into other areas and avoid ended up being lumped in with these other people, you know?
Oh, yeah. No, 100% agree. And Stan Efferding said this too. He was like, if you take the same effort that you put in the gym and put it towards something for 5 years, like a business, you're going to be a millionaire in a year. So it's just taking that energy that you put in the gym, you apply it to different places in your life. So you're able to find yourself, you're able to find positive energy, you're able to find focus. And I've had a lot of clients that come to me, and it's not, again, my own doing. You want to call it the universe or God, that have had addiction problems. And I may have been able to get them off of drugs and get them off of drinking alcohol.
Hell yeah, that's awesome,
in the
dude.
gym. And again, it's not anything that I'm doing. It's just that I think kind of like energies attract. And I just think it's kind of my purpose, because I've hurt a lot of people in my life just through my dumb decisions. Mm-hmm. Now it's kind of like God's like, okay, now you're going to help people. And through the gym, which is a beautiful thing, I'm able to help people and rebuild their lives and rebuild their confidence and rebuild their self-esteem and rebuild their image to where, okay, I'm not this junkie. I'm not this drug addict. I'm not this homeless person. I'm not this. This is who I am. Because, you know, your body is your business card. And there's a saying, I forgot what it is. It's like, you can't take away what a person builds in the gym. It's like, you know, that's like who you are, you know? So I'm able to help a lot of people and get them back on their feet and just, you know, they're able to re-identify with, you know, who they are, you know? So,
you know, I was talking to my lady the other day, and I was telling her how, like, when I was in college, I got an injury to my foot that ended my soccer career. And when that happened, I had to get surgery, and I wasn't able to, like, do anything with my leg for, like, a few months. And that's when, like, accidentally I started getting into a lot of alcohol stuff, and I realized, like, fuck, like, I can't work out, and it's leading me to I have a very addictive type of personality, and if I don't have something where I can put that energy, I know that I have the ability to go down to some very just fucked up places. So I immediately started trying to do something active to just, like, be like, oh shit, let's get out of this. So for yourself, because you mentioned alcohol addiction and drug addiction, what is it that kind of led you down those paths? Like, what happened?
Oh man, it's like open up a can of worms. Holy moly! I mean, you can go back to childhood, you know, family issues and blah blah blah, and, you know, people I grew up around, this and that. Just, you know, so I had my upbringing.
So the environment played a huge role for you.
Yeah, I had my upbringing. Everybody, but here's the thing: everybody has a story.
Yeah.
So I don't like using excuses of why I did it. I just
but it does paint a picture, though. I think the same thing with, like, obesity and things like that. People get addicted to food at a young age because they were just exposed to it, and that's the way the household was. So unfortunately, you know, at 11 or 12, they're, you know, 50 pounds heavier than the next kid, and they didn't mean to be 100 pounds overweight or two. Yeah. Like, no one wants to be like that. You know, I think that's the weird thing about drug addiction is I know that there's some choices in the beginning, but maybe you can speak on, well, you could certainly speak on this a lot better than me. There's really no choice once you're sucked in, right? Like, once you're in it. You know, so for us, luckily, none of us have ever. Well, maybe I'm addicted to steroids. None of us have luckily been pulled in to anything like that. So can you kind of explain that part, because it's probably not really as much of a choice anymore after a while?
Yeah,
right?
once. So like I said, yeah, I did have, you know, traumas that I've been through in life, and I tried to cope, you know, through doing those things. And I think it's like you said, identity too. It's like just kind of off topic, but my identity was an athlete. When I stopped being an athlete out of high school, my identity shifted towards more of my past, of which was, you know, more violence and more, you know, just stupid things that, you know, I shouldn't have been doing. I started hanging around the wrong people. So after I lost my identity, ended up finding myself in prison, got out of prison. I think I developed in prison more issues than I realized I had. And so again, tried to cope with those traumas, and made the choice to, you know, use drugs. And like you said, I think once you make the choice to use, you don't, unless a lot of people don't realize how powerful drugs are, and they suck you in real fast. And a lot of times once you're using them, they're fun and they feel good. And it's I call it a vortex, because you're kind of swimming around that hole, and you're just kind of like, you know, circling the drain a little bit. You're having fun, you're partying, you know, you might, you know, you're coping, but then there's a point to where that you start circling faster, and next thing you know, you're getting sucked down into a place that you didn't want to go. And no matter what your best efforts are. If you're not in the right mind frame and you're addicted to something, it's like you really can't pull out unless, you know, you have some type of outside force or, you know, strong will to really stop. Yeah, drugs are powerful, man. And they're very addictive. And once you get there, you're kind of a slave to it. Is like you're not yourself, because mental health is important. You know, that's one of the biggest things you lose on drugs is mental health and the capacity to make smart decisions. And once you lose the capacity to make smart decisions and you stop paying your rent, you know, you stop, you know, you stop going to the gym, you stop paying your car note, you stop paying your cell phone bill to do drugs and do certain things. Next thing you know, you're finding yourself homeless because you're buying drugs, you're partying and doing certain things. And next thing you know, you're in this hole and your family's gone because you're hurting your family, hurting other people, and people are scared of you. And then what do? You're sitting there homeless. You have nothing, no money to your name. And then what do you do? So it's kind of like, it's a tough hole to be in, man. And I'm glad I'm out of it.
Yeah, man, we're ecstatic you are. What's the I don't want to say process, but like, you know, you're spinning, right? Like you said, and then you kind of get a little bit, the circles get like closer and closer, right? What's it like? I mean, like it's, you know, you said you lost your house or your home and stuff, like it's slipping away, but you're still going back to the drugs. Like,
well, here's the thing.
What's the thought? Like, what's going through your mind?
Here's the thing. My brother had a great saying, because I love my brother. And he went through the exact same thing I went through. And it's kind of still going through it, but he says your house will be on fire around you and you won't care. Like literally your house will be on. And he finally told me a story. He's like, yeah, actually when he was in Japan, he served in the Air Force. He's like, actually he lived in a house full of people that were on drugs. They were addicted. And they did something, and actually the house caught on fire, dude, and they both were everybody in the house kind of was looking at this fire, burning the house up, and they just were sitting there, and they didn't put it out. They just, you know, their mind was so gone, the house was just literally on fire around them, and they didn't care. It's like your mind is gone. You're not the same person. It's kind of hard to explain if that makes any sense. So.
I think that's a huge factor too, is that, you know, with my brother, he was bipolar, but we don't know like what happened first, you know, was he bipolar because he wasn't straight for long enough? Did he actually just naturally suffer from that? We don't really know, you know, and I think that makes it hard too. And so for yourself, when you were addicted, were you questioning like your sanity, like as you were trying to get better? Were you like, I don't even know if I can control any of this. I must be going insane or something.
Yeah, that was actually one of the things that saved me, as I realized I was going insane. I was like, this is not right. Like, this is not me. And I was like, this like, I can't keep living like this.
It's way different than just the beginning when you just wanted a fix and wanted to get high.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And then you realize, like, I'm literally going insane. Like, I'm literally, like, if I hear something or if I see something that's not right, it's like, that's not right. So I actually create like a check and balance for myself. I was like, okay, this is right and this is wrong. If you're doing this, dude, then that means like you're doing like it's because of the drugs. And I actually told myself, I was like, you're going to die. You're going to kill somebody if you keep living like this, or through doing what you're doing, you're going to end up causing somebody to die. Yeah. And I knew I didn't want to do that because I know, I mean, I made a lot of stupid decisions, but I do have a heart and I don't want to hurt people and I don't want to die. So I was kind of like, there has to be a decision where I have to stop. I have to, you know, get out of the cycle and get out of this, you know, this hole I'm in. I have to figure out a way to do it. So,
people, it's a funny topic to talk about, but on that note of addiction, when I was younger, dude, I was like addicted as hell to porn, and, like straight up, like, and the reason I'm mentioning this is because I always wanted to try to stop doing that, like get out of it, but I'd try, I'd fail, I'd try, I'd fail. I'd get a good streak for like 6 months, I'd fuck up, and I'd fuck up for a while. Then I'd get another good streak, and then I'd fuck up, and I'd fuck up for a while, and then like there was just like a point where like things finally just clicked and I just kept that streak going. And one of the things is because I realized like there will always be that inkling to fall back. Like I'm always going to be addicted to it. I know I still am, but because I know that shit is like there, like, and I'm not free, that's a barrier for me to stop going back. So I know that throughout this whole process for you getting off of the drugs and the alcohol, you probably tried multiple times, you know, and people are like, how am I going to fucking get free? Cause I've already tried this like fucking 10 times. So how did that process look for you? How many times did you try to get out of it? And what was that turning point for you that was like, fuck, this is what I need to do to actually get the fuck out of this?
And here's where I'm blessed, and here's why I knew I couldn't squander my blessing and in my position in life, is that I have family and outside help. Like, there's some people, dude, that just don't have family and don't have outside help. And I've seen what happens to them. I'm like, dude, you're an idiot. You actually have family. You have people that can help you, and you have like life skills. You know how to get a job. You've worked, you know. I can't tell you how many times I might have relapsed or gone back and started and stopped. But there were a few times where I would stay clean for a few weeks or a month and then go back to it. But in my head, I knew I wasn't done. It's kind of played with it. I was kind of like, oh, I'm done. But I was like, okay, if the opportunity arose, you know, I didn't take myself out of situations where I knew I would use, you know. So it's kind of like I was half-assing it. But one of the biggest things that helped me was, number one, having my kid. So during that whole process, my girlfriend at the time got pregnant. So I was able, that kind of like, it's like, okay, dude, you have a kid on the way, you need to really stop. Mm-hmm. And the other part was, what you guys know, Mike is my mentor, my big brother. I met him, and that was really early in my use of drugs. It was kind of recreational, go out and party, doing certain things, coping. Over my course of knowing him, it progressed to addiction, started living in hotels. I don't know if he knew any of this stuff. I just, you know, again, lost my house, lost my car, all kind of stuff, and became really addicted, you know. And at some point, Mike texted me on Twitter. He put a post up, and he was like, "Hey, come train with me." And I woke up to that Twitter post, and
he just randomly hit you up, or you guys seen each other at the gym before or something like that?
Well, so we did a photo shoot together.
Oh, okay.
And we had mutual friends. We were talking online, texting each other, just kind of like saying what's up to each other, staying in contact.
So even while you were addicted to stuff, you were still lifting and still in pretty good shape?
For a little bit.
Yeah.
For a little bit. And then it progressed, you know, to where I stopped lifting and, you know, stopped going to the gym. And, you know, like I said, it just stopped making healthy decisions. I wasn't.
Any idea why he reached out to you on that particular?
Dude, no idea. Like I said, I still don't know to this day if anybody contacted him, even told him I was on drugs or homeless or anything. And he just put up a Twitter post and said, "Hey, come train with me." And I woke up and told my girlfriend at the time, I was like, "Hey, dude, Michael Hearn like told me to come train with him." I was like, "What the hell?" You know? Like, I was really starstruck. I was just like, wow. And I told her, like, wow, I need to clean up and, you know, go train with them. So I think I made some excuse of why I couldn't train with them. I don't know, maybe some stupid idiot excuse. And then canceled on him. Then another time, he, again, same thing. Then he put a post up or sent me a message and said, "Hey, come train with me." And then I think I canceled on him again. Because I think I got clean for about 2 weeks after that and then relapsed. And then told my girlfriend again, I need to, like, you know, clean up and, you know, go train with them. And this is a great opportunity. I mean, it's Mike. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want to train with this guy? Mm-hmm. Then a third time, dude, hit me up again. "Hey, come train. Meet me at the gym at 4 a.m. in the morning." And I was like, all right. So told my girlfriend again. I was like, dude, I had to get clean and, you know, go train with this guy. I mean, come on. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. So I remember I was really, really sick, and I went to my brother's house, and dude, I feel like I was like on the verge of death. Like, literally, I was just like, again, just spiraling down. Like, I couldn't move. Like, I literally feel like my soul was leaving my body. And at that point, I was like, dude, like, you're going to die. And again, that Mike sent me that text, dude. And if you know Mike, if you counsel on once, like, you most likely won't hear from him again.
Yeah.
So for him to do that 3 times, it literally like felt like, okay, I have hope. I have hope to, you know, I can make it. Let's, you know, let me pull myself up and, you know, let's get sober and let's hit the gym. So, got my life back on track, started eating. You know, maybe went to the gym a few times, started working out to kind of prepare to train with them, you know, because I knew it was going to be a brutal workout, you know. So, I think maybe 2 weeks later, ended up training with them, and then just, kicked my ass. Felt like I was going to die from his training. So forget the drugs. He was like, okay, this is a whole different type of, you know, you're going to die. Yeah. And then from there, dude, we just developed a friendship, and he kept inviting me back every so often. Like, hey, come back next week. We'll train legs again.
Cool.
And then, from there, we just kept training, and I had a new focus and new hope. And, Yeah.
What was the 4 a.m. stuff like? Because probably before you probably like were just getting to bed at 4 a.m. rather than waking up.
Oh, dude, 4 a.m., dude. How about not at all? There are literally times where I wouldn't sleep, dude. I just literally would be up for days, you know. But yeah, 4 a.m. for me was tough at first. I mean, it's like, who gets up at 3 a.m. to go train?
Yeah.
But
psychopaths.
Yeah. Right. But, again, the motivation factor. It's like someone say, hey, come train. If you told somebody, Mark, to come train with me at 3 in the morning, then people would get up and do it. Just because you guys are who you are.
It tells you a lot about somebody too. When they don't ask why. They don't ask anything. You say 4 a.m. and they're like, they just show up.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
It's life changing. It will change your whole perspective on life. It's, I love what you say, when you say beat the sun. I love that, man, because a lot of people don't experience that. Mm-hmm. There's something to getting up before the sun's up, getting to the gym, and sometimes we leave the gym, the sun's still not even up. You're driving home, you can see the sun rising up.
Yeah,
it's just a whole different speed of life. Yeah. And it kind of sets the tone for the day, like you've already won the day, like you're already a champion. I feel like I was already wearing a championship belt because I accomplished that. You know?
And people that have kids and stuff, you know, your kids are sleeping at that time. So it's a great opportunity to get out of the house, get your stuff done. They don't even know that you left. You're back home. I drive my kids to school. I cook them breakfast and stuff like that. So I still don't miss out on a lot of that stuff when I do have the 4 a.m. workouts. What other disciplines did that help you with? Because, you know, waking up at like 3 o'clock to get to the gym at 4, it's kind of a whole setup. It's a whole process that you have to start to figure out, okay, I need to kind of be in bed by like 7 or 8 for this shit to really work. How did you start to work on that? Because cleaning up that side of your life is hard too.
Yeah, it's a whole different discipline. You have to be structured. Like if you don't have a structure and a game plan, then it's not going to work. Like you have to be in bed by like 9 or 10 o'clock at the latest, because if you're not going to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. If you do,
you're going to feel like shit.
You're going to be miserable. Oh, yeah. And the next day you're going to be tired all day, and it kind of just it starts this whole cycle of like, you know, just you got to catch up on sleep somewhere, you know. So you have to be structured, you have to be disciplined. But you asked how it affected me, man. It affected me in a tremendous way, in a positive way, where again it built my confidence, because I feel like if I could do this, then I could do anything. So yeah, in business, man, I noticed my business took off. My business relationships were better because I walked into meetings confident, because I knew I was bringing something to the table. And that if I could tell people, hey, I get up 3 in the morning, it was like instant respect, because people knew, well, I can work with this guy. This guy is a grinder, so I can trust him with money. I can trust him with business stuff. Yeah. Just in personal life too, just, you know, walk into, you know, places with certain confidence, and people, they respect that, dude. It's just like, wow, this guy, he's, you know, he's focused, and it's a lot different than walking to somewhere you're a druggie, you know. It's like, so you walk into somewhere, hey, this guy's a druggie or an idiot, or, you know, he went to jail, blah, blah, blah. So, no, this guy gets up at 3 o'clock in the morning, works his ass off. So, so my relationship with people changed, you know. So,
changes the dialogue of who you are in the eyes of other people, which is huge. You know, something weird about waking up early, and I don't know why this happens to me, but I feel like I have a lot more like gratitude, and I feel like more appreciative of each day. Like I wake up super excited, but I never really, maybe that's just part of getting older or something too. I'm not really sure, but have you experienced that too? Like when you wake up that early, you're like, this is kind of badass. Like I'm on, like sometimes you are fatigued, and sometimes you're like, fuck. And Mike wants to train legs, and you know, it's going to be you know, you're in for a rough one, right? But most of the time I'd wake up and be like, this is going to be fucking awesome. And you're driving and it's pitch black. You're like, this is kind of sick.
Oh yeah. It's spiritual, man. I think because it really, again, it shows you who you are. Like it reaches down to that core, man. Because like how many things like test you to your core, because you're tired, dude. Like you said, it's dark. Yeah. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, are you going to get up? Like, it's like it tests like, what are you made of, dude? And I think once you get to that core, then like, yeah, it's a spiritual experience, man. You feel like, yeah, that gratitude factor, and you're able to experience the quiet of the world too. Mm-hmm. Again, there's a different speed at the time.
That's pretty cool in LA.
Yeah.
Right? Driving at 3 a.m. to the gym here is like, you don't even know that you're in Los Angeles.
Oh yeah,
There's
man.
not one car on the fucking road.
Yeah. And it's just, yeah, you get to experience the quiet and the beauty of the world, as opposed to like, you know, when everybody's up, dude, in LA, which you already know is just like, it's a crap show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've tried to explain that on the podcast too. Like there's like a weird, like almost sound that's like when it's pitch black early in the morning before people wake up. It's like silence, but it's extremely loud if you can like just stop, breathe, and like dude, there's nothing going on right now, but it's fucking loud. And like, you just, I don't know, you just hear like, you hear nothing. But like, it's hard to really tap into what that feels like and how to even explain it. But I think you just did. Like, you know, it is just like I don't know. It's hard to explain.
It's the sound of waking up and doing stuff that other people aren't doing.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, man.
It's the sound of victory is what it is. That's the way I really feel that way. I feel so good about it. And you know what I try to share with people, because there's a lot of people that are like 20, 25, and they're like, dude, like, you know, I'm getting to bed at like 11 or 12, and that's totally understandable. But my advice is just work on figuring out a way to wake up a little earlier. The 4 a.m. stuff, you know, it is something that I would recommend. It's something I would try. But you don't have to try to wake up at 4 a.m. every day. Mike doesn't even wake up at 4 a.m. every day. A lot of times what I noticed with him, which I thought was really cool, the really hard workouts, those are at 4 a.m. And the softer workouts, which is never really a soft workout, but they're just easier to get through, like a shoulder workout, that one might be at 6 a.m., which is a much more reasonable time. So I think everyone should kind of give it a shot. But in general, even just for like life and work purposes and stuff, I would suggest that everyone works on getting to bed earlier and hopefully, you know, waking up about an hour earlier than whatever their schedule normally is.
Yeah, 100% agree, man.
Along with like obviously having a wake up or go to bed early and wake up early requires a change of lifestyle. You know, Mike's a guy that he has that type of lifestyle. He's that type of friend that'll, you know, force you to develop that. But I'm assuming that, you know, when things were a little bit more difficult for you, you probably had people around you that weren't ideal in terms of like, you know, they weren't ideal in terms of friends that would, you know, help you get out of that. A lot of people, when they have like these types of addictions, it's also associated with their close friends group. Now, was that a problem for you? Did you have friends that were continuing to pull you towards that you had to get rid of, or was it just you?
It's huge. It's huge, man. You can't understate what you just said, man. Who you surround yourself with will dictate what you are and who you are, man, and what you're doing. And I don't blame people around me for what I did. And actually, I have friends still that are in that lifestyle, and I love them, and they're really good people. It's just that I can't be around them, because if you're around them, dude, like you're gonna gravitate towards it. There's a gravity towards who you're around, and that's one of the biggest things with Mike is my whole circle changed. Everybody, and I call it the circle of Mike, and that guy's just powerful, dude. His circle, dude, like if you're in it, like you're vetted. There's no question. Like when I first came to Golds and I met Shaq at Spard, they're a great guy. He was like, dude, he's like, if you're with Mike, then you're my brother. The first day I met him, he's like, you're good with me, dude. And just from there, we're just instant friends, dude. Like not even a question. And anybody I meet through Mike is just, that's how it is. And you're vetted. Just because he doesn't allow or tolerate like BS around him. Like you have to have integrity, honor to be a good person, dude. Keep your word. Positive.
He also does a good job of not really caring too much about what you do. Like he just does what he does. Like he's not, and maybe with your situation, maybe it's different. Maybe he did pull you aside and have some kind of deep conversations. He and I, as we got to know each other, we've had some great conversations like that as well. But for the most part in the gym, it's like you just kind of following what he does. You know, you're like, he's doing 7, 8, 9 plates on like a leg press, and you know, you just went before him and you realized you were going, you were going crazy and feel like you're giving birth or something, right? And then you watched him go, and you know, he's not sweating, he's glistening.
He doubles what you did.
He doubles, he doubles what you did. He doubles the output. He makes it look better, and he just doesn't make any noise. There's no wrinkle in his face. He doesn't have his frown or anything like that. Or, you know, he doesn't crinkle up his face or nothing. And you learn from it, and you're like, holy shit, like that's a great way to take on life. You know, somebody sends you a weird text or something crazy happens. Like, you know, maybe you shouldn't be, you know, so ready to go so crazy on it. Maybe you should breathe and think about it and kind of work in, as he kind of does a lot with his training, where he's closing his eyes and visualizing the stimulus of, you know, this particular, you know, groin muscle that he's specifically working on. I gained a lot from that, and I've had great conversations with him as well, and those have been impactful too. But the most impactful stuff is just watching what the guy does day in and day out.
Yeah. I think he coined the phrase white belt mentality. So
yeah, we talked about that a lot too.
When I first trained with him, like I literally didn't talk, and then when I started talking, I think people were surprised. Like I just was quiet, dude. I just like sat back and
They're
just
like, is this giant black guy going to kill everybody? He doesn't really say much, but he's fucking huge and he looks angry.
But I mean, people were like, I think we're weirded out. It's like, okay, this guy actually, he has stuff to say, but I literally just watched and just observed, dude. And it's the biggest compliment they can give somebody, I guess, is imitation. So just I try and imitate and emulate what he does, not based off what he says, but just he won't say a whole lot. Like I said, he'll let you do what you want to do. Either you get it or don't get it. But I just came in empty glass, dude, and just was able to learn so much and just still have a white belt mentality, man.
That's super cool. It almost sounds like he like gave you a new life.
Oh, 100%, man.
Right.
I got literally between the birth.
Good on you for fucking recognizing that. That's a really good opportunity. That's awesome,
dude. I mean, that guy will give you the shirt off his back. I mean, literally, he's.
He might have given you that one.
Yeah, literally, dude. Yeah, wearing a PB shirt. Yeah, but just he's a harder goal, dude. Like he just when I first met him, I thought he was gonna be this big macho tough guy and blah blah. Going into the gym, it's like you said when you work out with him, there's just no noise, just peace, and I'm jacked up on pre-workout and like, yeah, let's go. And he's looking at me like, kid, calm down. He's like, no more pre-workout for you, dude. He's like, I'm screaming, So, but yeah, he's very cerebral, very smart, spiritual. But yeah, it saved my life, dude. You gave me a second chance. But yeah, between the birth of my kid and training with Mike, my life was saved. But I told Mike, dude, you really, I don't know if you know, you saved my life. If you didn't see me those texts, dude, I'd probably be dead. I was just in that place. You know what I mean? He was like, well, you're not going to be there again. He's like, I'll kill you if you are,
You mentioned that you've helped a lot of your clients with a lot of like addiction and stuff like that in general. I think that it's, first off, that's super impactful because you're not just helping them their fitness, but you're literally also having that effect on their life too. Now, when it comes to those situations, like, how have you been able to attack it? Because I mean, do you just straight up talk to people about this? Do they talk to you and then you sit down with them after a session and help them with that? Because I'm assuming a lot of trainers also have clients with those types of issues and they want to know how to deal with it.
Yeah, man. It's a beautiful thing to be able to help people. So yeah, my phone's on 24/7 for my clients. I have clients that text me 10 o'clock at night. I'll be at dinner and I pick up the phone for them. And I tell them, dude, I'm like, you guys can call me or text me anytime you want. But yeah, during training sessions, this stuff comes out. Because, I mean, training to me, it's a spiritual experience. It's kind of religious. Mm-hmm. So when you're with people and they're vulnerable like that, man, you'll find people will tell you stuff you won't even know. You'll have conversations and you won't even expect it. And people will be going through things. You're just like, man, it's just very humbling to have people come to you with that stuff because they trust you. And again, it's just, all the space of where God has put me to be able to help people like that, man. So yeah, conversations after training or during training or before training. Some people come in and be like, this happened to me today. And I have to get their head right to get into the gym. Like, hey, well, this happened. We have this. The gym's here. Let's focus in. And or even after, stuff will come out like, hey, this happened to me. And, so yeah, man, it's a position responsibility, being a coach. Sometimes it turns into being a life coach, but yeah.
Did you have to get kind of traditional help? Did you have to go to like AA or detox, or what did that process look like for you?
So I actually went to my first AA meeting, but it wasn't for me. It was actually for my friend. He was 3 years sober. So we were there celebrating that, and just a beautiful experience, man. I'd never been to a meeting. I didn't go to rehab or anything to get off of drugs. But my buddy afterwards, he's like, the circle is very important because we were around, really surrounded. And he told me, he's like, yeah, you probably got that through Mike, is unknowingly you just change your circle. He was like, because you have to change your circle, But to go back to your question, no, I didn't. I don't brag when I say this. It's not brag, but I don't. What's the right way to say it? AA is good. Going to rehab is good, but I just knew that I get in more trouble when I go to play. I feel like I would get in more trouble if I went to places like that. So I knew how to do it on my own. And I knew I had to find the power within myself and to do it. Like I always had this thing in the back. I always had this thing in the back of my head that I knew I wanted to stop, and I never let go of it. Yeah. I knew if I let go of that thing, that one thing in the back of my head, that I had to stop and I had to find a way to do it because I'm stubborn. I have to figure out on my own how to do it. I can't have someone else tell me that I wouldn't stop. And so I held on to that. I held on to that, just that one glimmer of hope that I had to find a way to stop. You know,
did you ever think that you didn't have the ability to stop?
No, I always, that's what I'm saying. I believed,
Okay.
I had to believe in my own head that I could do it. I had to believe in my head that I had to find some way, something within myself. Because if I didn't have that, then I would have nothing. It'd be over for me.
And maybe for some other people, it might be like a false hope, right? That this doesn't have control over me. I'm going to stop after this weekend. Right. There might be people that are
exactly
really just they're stuck for whatever reason. It could be a physiological reason. You know, they could literally have no control over it. We don't really know. You know, but it probably is a little different for each person, I'd imagine. Yeah,
well, it has to be. Again, that's why I say for me. That's why I just say for me, because everybody's different. It's just like dieting or working out. Everybody's different. And like I said, when I went to that meeting, here's a funny part. My perception of what I thought AA meetings was completely different. And from what I found about rehab it's completely different, because the stories I heard about it from the people that went. And here's a funny part. I just thought about this, is that those people failed. So their stories about going to it it kind of ruined my thought about meetings and rehabs, because they actually told me I went there and got worse. I found out better ways to do drugs through people, blah, blah, blah. So there's stories about rehab, but then they're sitting right next to me doing drugs. So it's like, dude, but now the people I'm around that are sober, their experience and they're talking about rehab and meetings is completely different. And it's a beautiful thing, man.
So don't look at Yelp reviews when.
Yeah, man. Go firsthand, but everybody's different, man. The meeting was beautiful because people were able to share their story. There's just so much love there, and there was so much support. It was like you could tell they would do anything for you.
Looking at that, when you actually went and you saw what it was like, I know that you ended up being able to get out of it naturally because you had Mike around you, had great people around you.
Exactly.
But after seeing what it was like, do you think that if you did go, it would have helped you?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
100%, man. Just because there was so much love there, just so much support, and it was completely different than what I thought. Mm-hmm. Again, those people, they kind of ruined my idea of what it was. And I was there. I was just start tearing up, dude. There was a big guy coming in. Everybody's looking at me. I'm all yoked coming in. This big guy starts boo-hooing.
Yeah, it's like Fight Club where the big guy keeps crying all over the guy's shoulder every time.
But I'd never been to a meeting before, dude. The experience was just amazing, dude. I never experienced just so much genuine love. And I don't trust people, dude, but I feel like I could trust every single person in that room.
Yeah.
Well, the defenses are so down. People say some really crazy stuff. My brother was telling me about, he's gone to many meetings and he just periodically he'll just drop in on some. He just feels that it just helps make him a better person, period. Even despite the fact that he's been clean for 4 or 5 years, he doesn't feel like he really needs to go. But when he goes, he always feels better. So he's like, I just go. But he said the stories that people share, people will get up and they will talk about anything and everything. They'll say, I used to beat my son. I'd beat the hell out of him every week. And, I've been drinking for 15 years and I can't control it. I don't know what's wrong with me. And then, someone else will get up and they'll say, hey, you know what? I lashed out against a family member too. I had a similar issue. And now people are, communicating, and it's great because now you can get people to work on, their behavior. You can work on, breaking these patterns down.
Yeah. And here's a story I have. When I was in prison, I was an idiot still for the first few years. I got in a fight. Ended up going to the hole for 6 months, dude. Almost caught like another charge and would have did more time in prison. So they put me in the hole, and I was in isolation, dude. I was just acting stupid inside the hole too. Didn't want a cellmate. I was like, dude, if you bring anybody in here, I'm gonna whip their ass, blah, blah. It's going crazy, dude. Just like literally losing my mind inside of prison, dude. So I ended up going to the psych. I was like, dude, I have to see somebody about what's going on in my head. I'm just like mentally just crashing right now. I'm in a bad place. It's like I need help. So I went there and the psych asked me, okay, tell me your story, like your childhood. And I'm like, oh, I went through abuse, blah, 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 da, and gang violence, this and that, and blah, 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 this and that. He's sitting there listening to me, taking notes, and I'm talking for about 20, 30 minutes. And he was like, after I was done talking, he's like, okay, so tell me what your problem is again. And I look at him like, what? It's like somebody just literally slapped me in the face. He's like, you told me you had a problem. What's your problem? Like, it doesn't seem like you have any problems at all, dude. And I literally just felt like, I was like, this dude's like being a jackass, a jerk. He just like, I feel like, what the hell? He's seriously, he's staring at me blank face, serious, not even laughing. He was like, dude, you know how many people come into me and have way worse stories than you? He's like, you know how many people come in here and have this problem, that problem, this problem? He's like, you think you have problems, dude? He's like, go out in the yard Talk to your homeboys and ask them how many of them have the same story as you. I guarantee you 99% of them will have the same story as you. He's like, you're not special. He's like, you don't have problems. He's like, I deal with people with real problems, dude. So, so going to the meeting, I think it's kind of like that. You realize that, hey, I thought I had a big ass problem, but maybe I don't. That person has a way worse problem than me. So I think it transforms you from a self of being a victim to a more, let me help this person. Because this person has a way worse problem than me, so maybe let me show them some love, and then, help them out, and and when you help people, what I find is you forget about your own problems. Mm-hmm. You start to deal with them also.
Yeah. So when you heard that, when the psych told you that, like, did that make you mad, or did that just make you sad? Like, how did you feel?
I was dumbfounded. I feel like literally somebody just like slapped me in the face. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just was lost. I was like, I just told this guy my entire life story, boo-hoo. And I was like, he's going to say, oh, well, that's blah, 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 blah. And I know what he's going to tell me. I feel like I was going to be consoled or maybe give me some advice or, He was like, literally just, I felt dumbfounded. And it made me think. And so I went back to my cell and they put me there. I just
Problems are all internal,
Yeah, and I sat there and I just was quiet. I was like, wow. It's like, maybe I don't have problems. And I started thinking about all my friends that were on the yard. And all the stories that we had where we're in the cell together, on the yard together, and what they were telling me. This one kid was born in prison, dude. His mom was on drugs, and she's a gang member. And he was born inside of prison, dude. And he literally was like, dude, I was born in prison. I live in this neighborhood. He's like, I'm going to do this till I die. And I'm just going to keep coming back. And literally, dude, that guy, while I was there, paroled, and I switched prisons, and he came back in there. And he's like, I saw him, and he's like, yeah, man, this is what I do. And he told me his life story, and I was like, dude, I don't have problems. So from there, that's how I thought my life is. I wasn't a victim anymore. I was like, dude, I'm a victor. I'm a normal person. There's probably, you can walk out. You guys have stories. All of us have stories. You can walk out this door and walk down the street and talk to people, and everybody has a story. So we can't let that story dictate, who we are and what we do and define who we are. So
what were the drugs you were addicted to?
Oh, methamphetamine.
Oh man.
So yes. If you know anything about it, it's one of the most powerful drugs. And here's one of the things that we had a conversation about this, on Instagram.
Yeah.
You'll see people and they're acting weird, they're acting crazy. And people will talk crap about them and put them down and call them names. But again, people don't use those drugs to get to that point. They don't think I'm going to use this drug and become homeless. I think I'm going to use this drug.
Yeah, I'm going to use this. I'm going to become homeless, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. That's what people think. Like, oh, you're dirty, blah blah. It's like you're an idiot for you. It's like, dude, I always say this: they do not design drugs to be bad. They design drugs to be the best experience of your life. And that's a scary thing to say because I'm not influencing people to use drugs because I highly don't. But they design drugs to be good.
They work. They take you to another place, right? Yeah. You're in this life. We're all in this world together, and it allows you to kind of like quote unquote leave the planet for a little bit, right?
Yeah, but it's a double-edged sword. So the greatest thing that you experience will actually be the worst thing for you in your life because they're highly addictive, and there's no going back once you do it. Like the first time you're using that, for most people you're addicted because you're gonna have such a good time. You're addicted. Like we're addicted to the gym. You're gonna be addicted to the substance, and it'll start with a small bit. A small bit becomes a medium-sized bit, and then a large bit, and next thing you know, you're swimming down that vortex, dude. Yeah, dude, it's a nasty cycle, man.
I think the confusing part for the general population that hasn't dealt with drug addiction is how do you get to that point? How do you get to the point of we hear about meth, right? We hear about that all the time, and we know that. I mean, as far as I know, that's the worst one. And we know, you just hear so much about it, or even cocaine or heroin. Those are kind of you start to get into those stronger, more powerful drugs. It's a lot different than marijuana. It's a lot different. So how did you end up in that point?
Well, you have gateway drugs. I mean, I hate using that term, but there are, because if you're using one drug, a lot of times if you're out of your mind, if somebody says, hey, I got this, you're like, hey, sure. Because you're not in your right mind. You're just feeling good. You're rolling with it. And
have you thought to yourself, there's no fucking way that I would try meth?
Oh, yeah. But then my brother, again, I love my brother, dude. This is somebody I respect. A lot of times how it happens is you'll see somebody that you love and respect and that's having a good time. They'll introduce you to it. And you'll see, wow, that person has a great life. They're doing good. They're okay. And let me try it too, because look at them. They're having a great time. I trust them. And then next thing you know, you're trying it and then not realizing that they're hiding tons of demons and skeletons in your closet you had no idea about. I had buddies, dude, that had tons of money. driving nice cars, great jobs. And then we were using together, not knowing that, dude, there's skeletons and demons in their closet were crazy, dude. So they don't tell you that part. They just say, hey, let's have a good time. Let's try them. I'm like, all right, cool. It's you guys, you know what I mean? And a lot of times too, again, if you're drinking alcohol, if you're doing coke and you're thinking, I wouldn't do meth, but I'll do coke, then somebody presents that to you and you're at a party, you're just like, hey, let me try it. So that was pretty much my case where I was leading up to that point with different drugs. And I had a set of rules. I'd never try heroin. I'd never try this. And next thing you know, which I never tried heroin. Luckily, dude, because I've heard that stuff's just horrible. And way more addictive than methamphetamine. But yeah, I was presented with the choice and opportunity after I was, already high. I said, hey, let me just try it. Because I heard it's, somebody's telling me it's better and blah, blah, blah. And then you try it. Next thing you know, you do try it and it is better. But guess what? It's way more addictive. So a lot of times when you try things that are better, doesn't mean that it's better for you, because a lot of times it's going to take you down a darker hole.
Is there any positive to any of these harder drugs at all? I mean, you hear like people talk about psychedelics and stuff, but in terms of like crystal meth or any of the things that you've tried, they do anything good at all?
I wouldn't associate anything good with that stuff, man. They call it the devil.
Yeah.
They literally a street name for it is the devil, because it tricks you. It lies to you. So if you look in the Bible, they call the devil a thief and a liar. It literally is. It will lie to you. It will tell you your life's great. You'll be living on the street, homeless and dirty with no shoes on, pushing the car, and you think your life's fucking great. It will lie to you. Again, your house will be burning around you. You think, oh, my life's awesome. Your bank account will be empty. You're losing your house. You're going to eviction, but hey, my life's awesome. It literally will steal stuff from you. It will lie to you. So there's no positives to it, man. It's just, yeah.
What you literally just said is, first off, it's a testament to understand that is something, I believe that is something that we could all do, no matter how powerful you think you are, because for the longest time you were saying that, oh yeah, nah, that's not me. I would never do that. But once you got around those people, you started befriending those people, you started building friendships and trust with those people, and you're like, oh, he's cool, let me give that a shot. Like, that's just a testament to, you need to be so damn careful with the circle of people you keep, because over time you're going to become a little vulnerable to the things that they do, and then soon you're just gonna boom. That's possible. Like I know that I would definitely be able to do that shit if my close friends did that stuff. Yeah, that's why I think it's like I just can't be around people like that. I can't hang out with people like that.
100% agree. I mean, again, can't understate what you're saying. It's who you surround yourself with and who your circle is and who you trust, man. You can love some people, but you just can't be around them. Just some people, their habits and lifestyle is just destructive. It will suck you in, like literally. Again, to go back to the vortex. Have you guys ever read The Secret or seen the video The Secret? I believe in that vortex. I mean, some people call it faith, some people call it other words, but I like using the vortex because other people's vortexes will suck you in also. So if you're on the fringe of that vortex, dude, you already know. You're just going to circle around with them, and next thing you know, you're caught in their circle, and then that's pretty much it, man. Yeah. So
yeah, did you ever feel guilty about like turning your back on that circle? Especially
I'm
when
still friends with a lot of them,
and like you can still see them like still in the vortex.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I've developed enough willpower, and I don't tell everybody to do this unless you're in a place where you can, But I still, again, I love them from afar. I didn't really turn my back on them, as opposed to just they know that it was the best decision, because they know they shouldn't be doing it, and know that people die. I've had friends die. I have friends murdered from that, so they know it's not a good place to be. So if somebody makes it out, and it's kind of like there's no resentment there. They just know that you're in a better place, and I think they respect it. I don't think better myself than them, and they know that they're not worse than me, but just I can't be around them. I love them, but just there has to be a distance there. There has to, you can't go back and fiddle with it, man.
Have you talked to them kind of direct and said, hey, look, if you ever need help, whenever you're ready, I'm here, or you just kind of like ignore the fact that they're still using?
It's tough, because with that drug, it's so addictive that the success rate for people actually staying sober is very low, and that's a hard thing to say, man. So that's why I live my life the way I live, because I know I'm blessed and fortunate, and the biggest part is because of the people I have around me and my support. Again, a lot of people don't have that.
You still have any urges to do any of those things?
At this point, no.
What about like alcohol and stuff like that? Anything?
No, I mean, I used to have a beer every, once in a while. If I went off my girlfriend, we were celebrating, I might have like one beer, and I'm already like tipsy off one beer, dude. So I'm literally a lightweight. Yeah. But I live my life in such a way now that when I go out, it's just like I don't even like drink. It's just because I'm just like, it's so counterproductive. And I want every ounce. I want like every gram of like gains I can get. That makes sense.
I see. So you're not necessarily not drinking for sobriety's sake. You're not drinking because it's not going towards your goals.
Exactly, man. And I'm so focused on my goals of being the best person I want to be. I want to maximize my whole work because I work hard. I kick my own butt, dude. And I'm like, is this is the way I think. Is this counterproductive or productive towards my goal? Like, is this choice I'm going to make and enhance my life or take away from what I'm doing, dude? If you work hard, dude, like you want every penny. Like you work your ass off, dude. You want every penny, dude. You're not, working hard just to, bring in $1,000 check, dude. Come on, man. So, the same thing for us in the gym, dude. We're not working hard in the gym to bring, mediocre gains, dude, or just mediocre results, dude. We don't maximize and be the best version of ourselves can be. Yeah. So it's the same thing. So if I go out, I'm not, yeah, so that's pretty much it for alcohol, man. So, I mean, beer or two there. I mean, I think for some of my clients, I tell them like it's okay, but just don't, overdo it. But,
How could somebody that's listening, how could they, maybe pick up on the fact that a family member's using, and then maybe even also how could they possibly help? Like I remember like with my brother, like, he was late a lot to stuff. Then he would start to lie about stuff. And then he, when it came to like family gatherings and stuff, he wouldn't go to that, because he knows that he's not, in control and stuff. What are some signs that, somebody maybe even in your own household might be using? And then also in addition, maybe what you could say, how you could handle that situation.
I guess it's exactly what you said. Like they're late to things. They start making excuses why they can't show up to places and, just their behavioral pattern changes. So you can notice those things. So at that point, I think communication is key. There has to be an open line communication. A lot of times we think we know how to communicate, but we really don't. So there has to be like, hey, are you okay? Or what's going on? And a lot of times, even if they lie to you, you gotta press. Like you can't back off. You have to be relentless because drug addiction, alcohol addiction, you have to press. You can't let them just, continue to do what they're doing. You have to, investigate, like find out, like look, follow them if you have to, dude. Like seriously, like look.
And they'll be pissed. They'll be very mad at you.
But it's better than being, going through.
Why'd you look through my phone? Why'd you follow me? Right? They'll be pissed.
And excuse me why I say this, but it's better than you finding out that they died. It's better than finding out that they died. I have friends that I found out they were killed or they died, and I was like, I wish I did it. I wish I would have went in there and dragged them by their head, or I wish I would have did this and wish I did that. So yeah, if you have a family member, press. You have to go in there. You have to drag them out. If you have to be physical, you have to do it. You have to fight. It's a fight. You can't just sit there and say, "Oh, you have to go in, dude. Follow them. Check their text messages. Follow them where they're going to throughout their day and see what's going on, man. And stay in their face, dude. Like you gotta stay on top of them, dude. Don't let go. Don't give up.
Yeah, that's a big one because that's the hardest thing because it's easy to give up. It's just an easier option. Mm-hmm. I don't want to deal with this fucking person anymore. They're hurting me. They're hurting the family. They're making me upset. They're making me mad. They're stealing money out of my wallet or whatever. Like all kinds of crazy shit happens that you would never think would happen. Yeah, and it really can be super frustrating.
What are you guys' thoughts on when people say like they have to want to be helped though?
Very important. Because like you said, if they don't want to help, that makes it even more difficult, man. If they don't want to help and they want to live the lifestyle they're living, dude, then
just keep pressing. Like what can someone do?
It's tough because again, if they don't want it, if there's zero like want, then it's gonna be a tougher fight. Let's put it that way.
I feel like in those situations, because we just had a family member that died because of drugs, literally. And no one thought that they wanted to be helped. But there seems to be only two options in that case. You let them go down the path. Either they die or they don't, right? Or like you and your family press on them and press on them and press on them. You got to be annoying assholes for a while until they get the picture. Because in our case, well, he died. No one, everyone knew that they couldn't help him. he died. So it seems like there has to be a concerted effort
Yeah, and
of the
possibly,
family.
right, and possibly somebody could have, right? Maybe, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it has to be a team effort. I think it's not just like, it's a lot, like I said, once a fight, you have to realize what you're getting yourself into. It's like you're walking into fighting Mike Tyson. So that, if that makes better sense, if that's a good analogy. So no, you're literally, you're going to, and you have to have the time and resources to do it. So a lot of times people have jobs, people have lives, and they're living their own lives. And it takes a lot of time to help somebody. So I can easily sit here and say, do that. But then again, everybody has their own life to live, and you have to realize I'm stepping in the ring with Mike Tyson. Do I want to take these? And it's for 12 rounds. Like, it's not like, hey, if he knocks me. No, seriously, it's like it's not like you're walking in and say, if he knocks me out, he knocks me out, so the fight's over. It's like, no, we're going to schedule a fight with you and Mike Tyson, and it's for 12 rounds. There's no giving up. Like, we're going to lock you in that cage with Mike Tyson. So you have to realize. Again, I don't want to sound like it's going to be easy when I say press him. It's not going to be easy.
I like your analogy because it's ugly. You know, it's not an attractive thing. I've shared this before, that just simply being out of control is not an attractive thing. Even if, you know, something happens, you spill your coffee and you flip out. It's like somebody flips out like crazy and you're like, what the hell is that? Like, that's not cool. It's not a good way to act. You know, anytime you lose control, it's not an attractive thing, whether it's with food or drugs. And when it comes to things like alcohol and drug addiction, I mean, you know, I've found, you know, my brother, you know, face down on the floor, you know, halfway between like my front door and the place I lived in, you know, full of urine, you know, like just crazy stuff that you would never expect. And, you know, it's hard to talk about, but that, you know, that's my childhood hero. That's somebody I really looked up to and admired. And I'm seeing him like that. It's absolutely insane. You know, the way that I'm able to talk about it nowadays is through the fact that, you know, I have talked about it a lot, so that helps a lot, but also I never gave up on him. Like, we did try, you know, and he's still not here, but I can also clearly remember many, many times, and it could have been because he's not in his right mind, but he didn't want to, you know, he would say over and over again, I do not want to be here. I just want to fucking die. Like, he would say it over and over again, and he would say it, you know, he said it consistently to where, you know, you're like, okay, he's not even fucked up yet. Like, I have been with him all day and he's still saying it. He just said, I just can't handle this world anymore. I can't figure out, you mentioned the word cope. And, I think that's what he was facing. Whatever happened to him, whether it's bipolar or whether it was the drugs or whether it was a combination of the two, he didn't have the coping skills to organize the things that happen to you on a day-to-day basis to feel good. And so when I think about, like, he died and I'd still want him around, and I start to think about that more, I'm like, that's just for me. Like, cause I still want my brother here, you know, but, he wasn't designed to live out a longer life than what he had. I don't believe.
Yeah, man. I want to use that for people to understand how ugly it is, because you have you and your family who fought for your brother, dude, and fought and fought and fought. And I know the story, and I love Chris too. So he told me the story, dude. Like, your family's amazing. Is that you have such an amazing family? You guys fought and fought and fought, and still your brother passed. So I want people to understand that drug addiction, alcohol addiction is a serious thing. And it's ugly, dude. It's nasty. So when you see people going through it, have a heart and have empathy, dude, and just understand how serious it is, man, how powerful it is, and how it impacts people, man. So it's an ugly thing. Again, your family's amazing, dude. I respect you guys so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I know what you guys have been through. So again, when I sat there and I said you got to press people and do things that can make it sound easy. Like I said, it's a 12-round fight with Mike Tyson, dude.
Imagine if it's your own child, your own kid, you know, like, shit, man, the emotions that you go through. I mean, a lot of times with family stuff, no one wants to bring up these things, you know, and it could be something that maybe is quite different than even alcohol abuse. It could be maybe the way somebody's treating somebody else. It could be just that somebody simply has a hard time controlling their diet, and that they're way too heavy. It's hard to bring that up. It's hard to say, hey, you know, Grandma, I think you need to slow down on all the hard candies you have around the house. You know, it's a tough thing to do. And you don't know where to interject, because you're like, I don't know if that's cool. Like, that we are family, but I don't want to hurt the person's feelings. I don't want to, you know, them to go through a rough thing. But in the case of drugs, you know, that's the consequences, that you could just end up getting that phone call one day or find them somewhere and they're not alive anymore. So,
yeah, man. Yeah, I think I'm at that point with my brother also.
You were mentioning to me you don't know where he is and stuff, right?
It's been about 2 or 3 years, and I actually had like a meltdown, dude. I went to the AA meeting, heard all the stories, and it brought up all these feelings about my brother, dude. I don't know if he's alive or dead. I reached out recently to mutual friends, and they haven't heard from him from years. And I'll tell the story, dude. So the last time one of my buddies saw my brother was at an Albertsons, and he was there with somebody else, looked like some druggy guy, and they're stealing face razors. If you know my brother, dude, my brother's like, I would never would have thought if you told me he'd be in Albertsons, like looking like a homeless guy, like stealing like razors, dude. Like this guy, like freak athlete, like went to state for wrestling, ran track. We grew up working out, dude. This guy has phenomenal physique, dude. Like we're into bodybuilding. We used to run like 5-10 miles together, dude. Just like we just, hey, let's go run 5-10 miles and grab a box of donuts on the way back, and literally eat the box of donuts on the way back.
That's great. I love that workout.
Yeah, and then we run to the beach and swim in the water all day and run back, dude. Just like smart guy, and you know, just yeah. And I never would have thought he'd be in this position he's in, dude. So, but I love him, man, and hopefully he's doing okay. But yeah, that's,
You don't have any way to reach him, huh?
like dropped off the face of the planet, man. And that just goes to show you again how powerful drugs are, man. Just,
And then did he live in Los Angeles?
he's been around everywhere. He lived in Torrance. We grew up there, and then he's been in Anaheim, Orange County. He's been all over, man. So I looked like on one of those websites, like searching for people, you know. And he's like all these addresses from like Riverside to Orange County. So
Shifting gears a little bit, Torrance is, I believe it's the home of the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Academy, right?
oh, those guys are awesome, dude.
That's like right there. And I believe Machado Jiu-Jitsu is kind of in the area as well. And when I lived out here, and when I worked at Sharky's, that's where I met my wife in Hermosa Beach. Somebody was coming up to me and they're like, "Hey man, you ever think about doing jiu-jitsu?" And I was like, I think, you know, I seen it. Like I watch UFC, you know, and I watch like Hoist Gracie. I was like, you mean that kind of stuff? And they're like, yeah, man, you got to come. Like there's an academy down the street. It's in Torrance. You got to come check it out. And I was like, cool, I'll come check it out, you know. And I went to it, and it was like the Gracie Academy. And I'm like, that says, you know, and there wasn't a million of them at the time. So you got to keep that in mind. This is like one of just a handful that were probably in the entire United States. And I think it was maybe the only one in Northern California or in Southern California. And, it was crazy. Like the athletes that were in there, and it was a really cool experience. And, you know, what I remember from it was, you know, this is 20 something years ago, but what I remember from it is being amazed at how the leverage works and what a skill jiu-jitsu is. And then once I did jiu-jitsu, then I fell in love with watching UFC even more, because I always just kind of thought these guys are just going in there kicking the shit out of each other. And I have a boxing background, so I know that there's definitely a skill and technique to defending yourself and fighting and everything. But I didn't know anything about jiu-jitsu, and, you know, having a guy who's 160 pounds, you know, throw you around and fucking torque your arm behind your back or get you in a weird, you know, ankle lock or whatever, or choke you out. You're like, this is fucking crazy. Like, how is this little guy kicking my ass? It doesn't make any sense. I'm like, I'm not coming back here. But I did it for about 2 weeks, but it is something, you know, we talk about it all the time on the podcast. Nsima's been doing jiu-jitsu for several years now. And, you know, you're just hearing more and more people talk about it. And as I'm getting into yoga and as I'm getting in like better shape, that's what I've been kind of prepping myself is, I know it's going to be tough, and I know it's going to be way different. Like me going to yoga is not too big of a deal. It's not easy for me, but I'm most likely not going to hurt myself in there. You know, me changing up my training and doing CrossFit sometimes and me running, like that's probably not going to injure or hurt anything. But the next step going into jiu-jitsu, I'm just super tight, you know, and if I'm not tapping and I'm not paying attention to what's going on in class, then I'm going to get fucked up. So I'm excited to do it, you know, and I will do it. But, yeah, I've been apprehensive. I'm trying to like train myself up for it a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love hearing that. And first of all, if you've seen Nsima, you do not want to roll with this guy. He's 240,
I don't know why he's so jacked. He gets a little more jacked every day. Like he just gets a tiny bit more jacked every day. I mean, we've been with him for a few days here, and he's getting a little bigger.
He says he's 240, but looks about like 260, 270.
It's really annoying.
But I guess you're actually rolling with Chad Wesley Smith. Well, you know, if that guy, he's got like 300 pounds, so that's gonna be fun for him. But Dude, that's awesome. And it's funny you said that, dude, just because I love seeing the evolution of your training. It's like I said for myself, I'm kind of going through a journey. I kind of recognize you're going through the same thing. It's kind of like you're finding yourself and redefining yourself, man. Just if you see yourself today, dude, like I didn't even recognize you. Like I didn't see you thing for a few months, and just like your transformation is just amazing, man. You literally forged your body and effort and fire into something just like it's unrecognizable, man. And even from when I first met you, it's like completely different, dude. You know?
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. It's a tough thing to do, and that's something that I wanted to. That's the whole point of what I've been doing, is to show people that you can really make a change. You know, there's kind of there's the body types, right? There's ectomorph and mesomorph and that kind of stuff. And I want to show people that you can actually kind of switch lanes if you want to, you know? And so that's what I've been doing, and I feel really good. And I'll go through different time periods where I'll probably, work on gaining some weight again and stuff like that. But for now, I'm on a downward trend and trying to move better. That was, one of the main goals for this upcoming year, is just to simply move better. We were doing a lot those range of motion leg presses with Mike, the ones where he'd go all the way to the bottom of the leg press and stuff like that. And we went heavy, so I wasn't able to get full range of motion as we went heavier, the way that Mike was and the way that you were doing. But it's something I want to continue to work on. And I'm not strong in those positions because my body doesn't even really want to go in those positions. So you could put like 2 plates on there, and that would be perfect for me to go with that kind of range of motion. But I want to really work on it. I know it's going to make me feel good, and it's already having a big impact. And we're, just 20 something days into January. So I'm excited for it.
That's pretty awesome. And a couple of points, I guess, like you were saying, is 2 plates is good enough for you. And that's what people don't understand, is that when you put yourself in a weak position, you become so much stronger. But a lot of times people don't want to let go of their ego in order to experience that weakness. And I always tell my clients this, it's like, how do you become stronger? You become stronger by training where you're strong at, or do you become stronger by training your weakness? And it's a lot of times people don't like feeling vulnerable. And I always tell my clients, you have to be vulnerable in training. If you're not vulnerable, then you're not getting stronger. And you can be strong, but then, like I said, stronger. There's always a way to get stronger. So how are you training the connective tissues and the ligaments and putting yourself in different positions to where you're weak, so that when you're in that strong position, those muscles that, weren't working before, now they're working. So once you go back to that strong position, you're even stronger,
I'd say also too, there's a difference between strength and growth. If you want growth, then you're going to have to introduce a lot of change, right? And so you introduce change, and I'm not talking even about physically growing. I'm not necessarily talking about hypertrophy. I mean, just as a person. And when you start to implement like walking lunges and stuff like that, that's way different. That's a way different training thing than, just, putting knee wraps on and trying to like squat as much as you can. They both have tremendous value, but you probably need to do both so you can be a little bit more well-rounded in the gym and in life, just to move around better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, have you noticed like any connection or correlation between some of the clients you've helped like come off addiction or maybe even depression with how good they are on their diet? Like if they follow their diet strictly, like is there a higher success rate of those that can come off of what, drugs or alcohol?
Oh yeah, I always tell them. I mean, yeah, because it actually gives a person structure. Like a lot of times when people don't have structure in their lives, then they don't. They're kind of left. What's that saying? Idle hands are like a devil's playground, something like that. It's like when you're just sitting there not doing anything, you don't have structure.
Yeah. Idle hands, yeah.
Yeah, so when you give a person a purpose and you give them structure, then now they're getting re-identified, and so they're busy all the time because they have to eat every 2 hours. It's like, damn, I got to eat again. And it's like they have to work out and they got to do cardio. So there is a high success rate with clients that come in and they stick to the meal plan and they're doing what they need to be doing. It's a high. It gives them just like that foundation. It gives them a purpose and a meaning, man. So yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
I also really like what you said, and I've never heard somebody say it quite like yourself. When you're with Mike, you have to lower the load with a lot of the stuff you're doing. And Mark mentioned that he was doing 2 legs in the leg press, and to do that range of motion, he would need to do 2 plates. But being willing to be vulnerable in your training, like everyone mentions, like, oh yeah, drop your ego, rah, rah, rah. But it's literally being vulnerable because you're going to be looking weak as fuck, but knowing that that's where you need to start if you want to get stronger. And I think that the way that you put it was so damn unique, because I've never heard anybody say that before.
It's beautiful, man. That's the spiritual aspect of training. That's going to show you who you are. When you allow yourself, and it's just in life too, when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you're open to so many more opportunities. Because a lot of times we're so closed in and we have our ego and we have this and that. You allow yourself to be vulnerable around people. you allow yourself to be vulnerable in your training, man, it just becomes beautiful, dude. It's a spiritual, just kind of like experience about it, because you get down to your core and you find out who you are and what you're made of. And a lot of times when people have to face their core and their inner being, it's like they're scared of it because they realize there's a lot of work to do there. So either with your personality, there's a lot of work to do there, or in your training, there's a lot of work to do there, because you did 2 plates. You're like, dude, I have a lot of work to do. And a lot of people don't like facing that. They're like, fuck, that's a lot of work. But if you just take time, and I always say this, I always say brick by brick. That's my saying, slow and steady. Because if you notice a lot of times nowadays, especially in this Instagram days, people want things now. They want to be strong now. They want this now. You have to take time. You have to, you got to build brick by brick and not be afraid of that process. And a lot of people, they're afraid of that brick by brick process because it takes so long. You have to give so much of yourself, So, yeah.
It's what I like about it is that it's a gradual thing. We also have a lot of people that are sharing information nowadays, and they're saying you got to find stuff that makes you uncomfortable, and you got to take ice baths and things like that. And I don't mind that message. I think that there can be providing some value for some people, but I also think that it's a gradual thing. I don't think there's a reason to try to wake up tomorrow and try to like do every single thing that you can think of to make yourself better. I think it has to be gradual, and the gym really shows us that, when we're talking about this range of motion. So, I did 7 plates and I did 20 reps, but I did it at the range of motion that I can handle for the moment. And I'm a work in progress still. Like I'm still always working on trying to figure out a way to get better. If you think about like all the different aspects of that can make you better, it's too much. It's too much to try to handle all at once. So you go at it, in a way that, in the gym, you go at it in a way that is a progressive overload, and you're progressively, not always just overloading, but you're progressively, I guess you are always kind of progressively overloading. You're always adding something to the plate. And you're still keeping the other things in, and they're in your repertoire, and you can utilize them, as needed as well. But you're always kind of adding something. I'm going to work a little bit more on my mobility. This month, I'm going to focus a little bit more on strength. This next 3 months, I'm going to focus a little bit more on being leaner. But it's not an onslaught of trying to make yourself so uncomfortable, because I think if you do that, and it starts kind of back to what we were saying a little bit off air in the beginning of the podcast, is you're not going to be, you get people all the time that probably ask you about motivation. Dude, how do you stick with it? Like, I go in for like 3 weeks and I'm out for a week and I keep missing days. And it's like, well, if you don't overdo it, if you don't try to kill yourself every time you go, maybe don't start working out with Michael Hearn out of nowhere, but maybe go experience what a day would be like. And you might be sore for a long time from that one day, but maybe you just get an experience, or you ask Lance Keys if he would train you or work out with you. And I'm sure if some kid came up to you and was like, dude, like you're a big dude, I'd love to learn from you. Can I work out with you? You'd be like, yeah, dude, I'm here tomorrow at 5. Right? And I think that's that's one of the kind of key ingredients to all this when you're trying to get better. Don't be so worried about trying to do everything all at once.
100% agree. And even for myself, I had to check myself and do that. Because I like to push so hard. I got to say, dude, back off. Like day by day, just go in there, get your work done. Don't try and kill yourself every gym session, because you're going to burn yourself out. So there has to be a consistent pace. And I love Eddie Cohen too, because he said this. He's like, he was during his training, people ask him how he's so good and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I never missed a rep. He's like, during my training, because he was so methodical and planned out. It's just like, if you think about him and his numbers, you think he goes in there, and that dude's never missed a rep, dude.
That's so important, and I'm glad that you brought that up. I mean, really try to think about that as you're listening to this podcast right now. Think about that. He never missed a rep. It doesn't mean that he's a savage. It doesn't mean that he's crazy. It doesn't mean that he, forcefully always made these reps happen, although he probably did with his mindset as well, right? But what it tells you is that he lifted weights that were light enough for him to never miss a rep. Like, is everyone absorbing that? He went light enough. If he went heavier, he would have missed a rep. But he was smart enough to know that's not really going to be the thing that gets me progress. I haven't really seen you ever really. It's really rare. I don't know if I've ever seen you really miss a rep. Maybe just in a competition, like in a powerlifting meet, maybe, or something, right?
Only in a meet, really.
Yeah. That's the way Ed Cohen was. Only like he never missed anything in training. he's going to miss anything, it'd be on the platform. Cause like now, you know, okay, he squatted 1,000 pounds. Now he's trying 1,019. The guy weighs 230 pounds or whatever he weighed, you know? And so you're going to save those maximum efforts for actual competition. And I think it's a great lesson.
Yeah. And going back to your point where you're saying where both of you guys are getting into jiu-jitsu and martial arts is, I love that. And there's kind of like and we talked about this earlier too, is that there's like a shift in the industry. If you see guys like Chad Wesley and then you see guys like in the way Brandon Lilly trains now, and then Nam Nam, for his whole name, but look him up on Instagram.
Nam Nam?
Yeah. Look him up. And
you're talking about T. Cummings?
Yeah, T. Cummings, you see this kind of shift in the industry where you're seeing a lot of guys, they're transitioning from just pure powerlifting to kind of more like a hybrid athlete thing. It was kind of like, you know what I mean? So I love seeing it, you know what I mean, where people are really finding what makes them happy and are doing what they want to do, you know, based off of maybe they had an injury and they're rethinking about what they're doing, or just based off of what they're like true health. Cause a lot of these guys are getting blood work done and it's like, wow, I'm not healthy. Like I'm strong or I might look good, but I'm not healthy. Or even T. Papula, like him too, like he's big on blood work now. So if you look at what he's doing now and the way he's training, he's more concerned about his blood work and the stuff he's doing than anything else. He's like, I want to be healthy. I want my blood pressure down.
There's another guy that we should hate, you know?
Yeah.
that guy's fucking jacked.
Yeah. And actually,
he's so strong.
Yeah. And I trained with him for, since I've been at Powerhouse. So I've seen his transition, dude. I mean, I watched him since 7 years ago and what he's become today. And the guy, he's brilliant. Like if you talk to him, that guy is
insanely smart,
super humble, nicest guy. And I've learned so much from him, dude. So just one of my good friends. So if you look at guys like that, and then like you, Mark, and the way you're training now, what you're doing, and then what you're doing, you know, it's amazing to see. You know, I love athletes. I mean, I love bodybuilding and powerlifting, but I love complete athletes where, you know, I mean, you have the physique and you have the power and you have the mobility.
I love watching T. Papula, and he's like just coming back. He's like, oh, you know, I was, you know, working on my PhD or whatever, and then he's like, first day back, and he's like doing 405 for like 3 or 4 reps on the bench, and he's like, you know, just a simple 5x5 or whatever. And you're like, holy shit, doesn't make any sense, dude. How do you start back with that? Holy crap. Yeah. Super strong, dude.
I think he just like front squatted like 675 or something.
Oh
like
yeah.
That.
He can front squat like a madman.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's an amazing thing to, you know, to see the transition and the shift in the industry. And again, like, I love watching your journey too. Cause I think like you're kind of a spirit. You can feel like this is spiritual with you too. It's not just like the physical. It's like you can tell it's in your core, man. Just for you as a person, just because you could tell, like, you know, you're just in your own headspace, like you just see your focus and just your energy and, you know, what you have going on. It inspires people. It inspires me too, man. Like, you know, I write to you, man, and, you know, I repost some of your videos. I'm like, dude, just listen to this, dude, you know. So again, it's not just a transition of the body, it's just a transition of the mind and the spirit and just who you are as a person, man.
And I got a lot of that from just the practice of martial arts, not my own practice, but just understanding martial arts and knowing that they utilize mind, body, and spirit. And it's like, well, how come that's never transitioned into, I mean, not that it's never transitioned into lifting, but people don't really talk about it that much. You know, these can be like spiritual, these can be so like so much more powerful than you going in and like getting bigger biceps. I mean, it will always be about getting bigger biceps, right? But it's about so much more than just that.
How about because you said you have a tattoo of one of your sons on your forearm. Do you have another tattoo? You have 2 kids, right?
Oh, 3 boys.
3 boys.
8, 7, and 5.
Whew. Okay. Well, first off, like from everything you've said, like you probably are an amazing father. How are you impacting them and how are you like forming them right now in terms of like fitness and all of that type of stuff?
I don't ever push my kids to do anything, but I spend a lot of time with them. My youngest, the guy literally is like, it's surreal because he's like me and reincarnate. And just, he likes the things I like and just, I can't explain it. Like just certain foods or colors and just like, he's exactly just like me. And my other 2, same thing. It's just like, I don't know. It's, they're finding their own way and they're each different in their own way, but they are healthy. And then they, because they're in the house and we only eat healthy things, they eat it, but they've all been around Mike and Shag Aspard and my other buddies and people like you their whole lives. So it's like, it's kind of like it just kind of rubbed off on them. So I don't ever force them to do anything, but I just think because they're surrounded by it, like you said, who you're surrounding yourself with, it's impacted who they are, man. I kind of just let them be who they are. If they want to be musicians, they can be musicians or a scientist, but I just think that they gravitate towards fitness. They notice something about it, you know? So yeah. But my youngest, That kid's just something else.
Yeah.
He's just baseball, basketball, football.
How old do you say the oldest one is?
8.
8. And, when the conversation comes around at some point and they start asking about like, cause my kids did that. I think kids are curious. They ask about like drugs or alcohol. What will that conversation look like, you think?
I will tell him I'll kill him if he ever touches drugs.
You will be dead immediately.
The drugs won't kill you. I will. No, seriously, man. That's what I'm going to tell him. There's no games with it with me. I've seen so much death and destruction.
Will you share your experience? What happened to you and stuff like that.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. I think a lot of times too, we expect our kids because we went through something not to make the same mistakes. And I've seen people who tell their kids their stories and they end up making the same mistakes. So it's a scary thing because I'm trying to figure, okay, how do I do this? Because again, I've heard, people I've seen that, had a drug addiction problem. They try and keep their kids away from it. And they tell their kids, hey, because I did it, you shouldn't do it. And I don't think then it's tough because that's not always the case because kids are going to do what they want to do. So I'm trying to figure how do I do it? How do I do it? Because there's so much, temptation out there and just, but I think my kids are good, man. I think they're raised a lot differently than I was. Like they're raised in a better environment. It's just totally different. Like I try to create something different than, what I had and not exposed to what I exposed to. So they don't have the same kind of trauma. But at the same time, just,
I think your knowledge and experience can help a lot. I think you could have more adult conversations with your kid than we give our children credit for, and you can do it at a lot younger age than we give them credit for. And, I've told my kids, since they were young, I don't really say some of these things anymore because they're teenagers and it's like not necessarily appropriate, but I would tell them flat out when they were young. Because when kids are young, like they'll point at someone in the grocery store and they'll be like, "You're fat." Like they don't know, like you can't, they don't understand. You can't say that kind of. They don't understand that could really hurt someone's feelings, But they do recognize it. They recognize like this person looks way different than some of the other people here. They're a lot bigger, and they do recognize these things. They do see these things, and so I always thought, just telling them the truth, just tell them flat out, hey, can I have ice cream? You had ice cream last night, and if you have ice cream every night of your life, you will probably get fat. It'll make you sick. It's not good for you. And I told them that when they were young, but I never yelled at them. I never said, I would just usually where I would leave it, especially as I got a little older, is I would say, you had a soda earlier today. You had your sugar for today, and I don't recommend it. I don't think that you should have it. You should save it for tomorrow night. Or I might say something like, I try to present them with options, and I try not to say no that often because no is like you didn't even hear me. The second I was about to bring up ice cream, you were already shutting it down. And instead of doing that, I'll say, you know what? We're going out to dinner tomorrow night. That would be, they have your favorite dessert there. That's where you should spend your sugar right there, and little things like that. And then with, drugs, I've shared with my kids, I said, it killed your uncle. It killed my uncle, and it kills millions of people every year. And also very honest and open to the fact that there are drugs that people have utilized to get advantages in some areas. Eminem always talks about mushrooms. There's Jimi Hendrix, I think LSD, right? And there's a lot of great literature. There's a lot of great art. There's a lot of great songs. There's a lot of great stuff that have happened with people being high. And then we've also had athletes and people that we admire and love, and they have helped change and mold the United States that have utilize maybe testosterone, right? Or utilize performance enhancing, like Arnold. Like what would this fitness industry be without Arnold, right? And so, even Joe Rogan, he talks openly about, utilizing psychedelics and stuff like that. And sometimes he's like that on his show. And so my son, he's going to be 16 in a few days here. He's asked a lot of questions about like psychedelics, and he says, "Oh, it can help with the expansion of your brain." And I'm like, actually, you know what? That's actually very true. There's a lot of information. I said, you should look it up and find out more and see what its possibilities are. But what I also explained to him is I said, it would not be good under any circumstances to take it at such a young age. Your brain is not developed. Your brain won't be fully developed as a male until you're like around 25. Yeah. So I said, and then I also explained to him the addiction side of things. I'm like, all these things, I don't know. You can have a drink you might be able to do some mushrooms in a responsible way, but all these things have that kind of dangerous hook at the end where you could be kind of doing this the rest of your life. And so it's a decision to make. But I've been talking to my kids that way, I don't know, since they were like 5, telling them flat out, telling them this is what it can do.
I 100% agree. I'm the same with my son. Same thing with he loves ice cream sandwiches. I'm saying, hey, you know what? You've had one today, and he wants a second one. I'm like, dude, there's too much sugar for today, blah, blah, blah. And he completely gets it, and he doesn't fight me on it now because he understands the whole process. I'm like, this is what sugar does to you, and blah, blah. And he's like, oh, okay. Now he's completely cool. Yeah. And yeah, same with any of the foods, you know, I'm like, hey, no, I give them options. And this is why I love that you posted also. You said you'd never tell your kids no. When you posted that, dude, that hit me right in my core, dude. Because parents don't understand how powerful that is. And spending time with them when you say no, not now, dude, you can't do that.
I get my ass kicked sometimes. I come home and I'm dead, and I'm like, fuck, man, it's like 8:00 and I still got to figure out a way to eat. And then, I eat and settle in, and I'm like, okay, well, it looks like I can get to bed around like 9:30. That should kind of sort of work. And then my son will be like, hey, you want to go for a ride in my truck? I'm like, yep. Like, I don't even think about it. I'm like, no, that's more important. And, if I have to, work out later tomorrow, or I just have to work out tired or be tired for the entire day, then I guess I'll be fucking tired, because how many times is he going to ask me to go for a ride in his truck? He's not going to live with me hopefully he doesn't live with me forever.
There's a big thing to that not saying no thing. Because a lot of kids, what happens is when their parents like shield them from things too much, and they say no about certain things too much, and they don't help them with things they just hold them back. Once that kid gets that little bit of freedom, and once that kid goes off to college or starts to live on their own, they're going to bask in all the shit that you said no to. And that could lead to some horrible stuff.
Yeah. My friends in like junior high and high school, the ones that were the most, like their parents were the most strict, those were the ones that went way off the rails, like by far. And what I was going to say about, like the kids, like, have you thought about maybe saying like, hey, this is probably hereditary. So you might not really be able to like just have one drink. Because if I have one drink, then this is what it led to. Like, have you ever thought about something like that?
I haven't studied that enough or researched enough to have a conclusive opinion on that. Okay. So, my opinion is right now just what I think is more of, like willpower and like maybe personalities. Like, I have a extreme addictive personality. Like, I'm either like not in or all in. So if I'm going, it's like there's no in between, dude. So I just know, like for me, even for like psychedelics or anything, dude, I don't do it. I don't mess with it, dude. I stay in my lane. This is my lane. I'm driving in it. I'm going to go with the speed limit. So so you gotta look at your personality type. If you can handle stuff and you can like, you can set yourself, blah, blah, whatever, then, do what you want to do. But I know for me, dude, like I have a very addictive personality to anything I do. So I just know that, hey, if I get into something and do it, it's going to go way extreme. You know what I mean? So I think with my kids, I say, hey, this like my youngest, he's like me, dude. He's extreme. So I'm like, dude, you just watch out, because you're 100% if you're in it. You give your all. You know what I mean? So that's what, I probably have to research more on that gene stuff and hereditary stuff, but
that's what my mom told me, because a lot of my family had a lot of addiction. And so she was just like, she's like, I just think that she wouldn't even really say that she knew or anything. She would just say, I think that I know that it's hereditary, that we have addictive personality, and your grandpa was an alcoholic, and your grandmother, was an alcoholic, and your uncle was on drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. So when it was explained to me that way, and, when you're young, drugs are scary. When you hear about, you're like, oh my God, sometimes people use, like they sometimes take drugs where they inject themselves with stuff. You're like, holy shit, that seems wild, right? It's kind of a scary thing. So I've always been kind of scared of it. And then I've always even been, I'm even more of a pussy than that. I've been even just like, whenever I used to go like a party or anything like that, and I'd smell marijuana, I'm like, this is not, I'm like, I need to get the hell out of here. Like something good ain't, some bad shit's going to happen. I don't know. I just, always kind of had and it wasn't based off any weird experiences or anything. I just always thought like, I guess it went against the way that I was brought up. My parents told me not to drink. They told me not to do drugs. And, there's that little feeling that you have inside when you go against the grain of how you were raised. I would even imagine, even when you're addicted to drugs, you probably still feel that. Maybe, when you come off, from being high, right? Where you're like, fuck, man, I kind of did it again. And just this weird thing inside where you're like, that doesn't feel right.
Oh yeah, if I didn't have my mom and like the background and like a faith-based background, dude, I'd be done. Like I was always able to rely back on my faith in God and the Bible, dude. Like that's a rock also, dude. Like if I didn't have that, whoo, like that's a constant to hear her voice and know that I can turn back to God and pray and just, to have that foundation. So yeah.
How were you actually able to stop? Did you go to your mom? Did you go to, I think you mentioned your girlfriend and you mentioned a couple, Mike O'Hearn and stuff like that, but like, how did you actually stop?
So eventually my parents let me back into the house and separated from my girlfriend. I put her on her way. She went to San Diego with her parents.
What was that conversation like?
It's just like my brother was in it, and then I came out about what I was doing. I don't know how it happened. And actually, one of my mutual friends was worried about me. They thought I was going to kill somebody or I was going to die, and they said, "Dude, don't worry about this guy. This guy has guns in the house, this and that, blah blah blah, and this crazy stuff." And he's saying this and that. He's either going to kill somebody or something's going to happen, or he's going to die because he overdosed. And they told my parents that, and I was pissed at the person, but probably saved my life. So my mom contacted me and said, "Hey, this is going on, blah, blah, blah." And then, from there, I was open about, my drug use and what was going on. My mom was probably lost like 30 pounds, worried about me, stressed out, dude. And she went through it. So it's not, and that's one thing about addiction when you go through it, it's not just you. It's like your family goes through it also with you, man. I mean, really one time my stepdad, told me, he was like, "Dude, you're going to kill your mom." Like he he never yells. He's always cool. He's like yelling. He's just crying on the phone. Like, "You're going to kill your mom." I was like, and that time I was so high. I was like, "What do you mean I'm not going to kill my mom, dude?" I didn't know that she had lost like 20, 30 pounds, dude, and she just would not get out of bed. But eventually it got to a point to where I made serious decisions about, getting clean, and they recognized that, and they let me back in the house, and I sent my girlfriend on her way to her family, and my girlfriend at the time to her family, and then I went to my family, and they opened the doors to me. I was able to sober up and get back to work and get back in the gym immediately. I just started eating food again and just got back into my routine and create that structure. And then from there, I was able to get back on my feet, man. Like I said, a lot of people don't have that support system. So that's what motivates me to stay in my lane and do what I have to do, man, because I can't mess it up. I'm blessed, dude. Like there's so many people, again, that don't have that family or don't have the resources to be able to do that.
Was there a specific day that you told Mike about your addictions?
I think we were driving down the street or something like that. And then I just told him, like, "Dude, like you saved my life." I think we were in the car together driving to go train. Might have been at 4 a.m. or right for when it was maybe after training. And I was like, "Dude, like, you saved my life." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was addicted to drugs." And he's like, "Wow." He's like, "Really?" He's like, "Well," and again, he was like, "You're not going to do that again." He's like, "That's not going to happen again. He's like, you're going to stay sober. You're going to stay clean." He's like, "We need you." He's like, "That's it." And yeah.
That's cool. And there was really nothing else said about him.
Yeah, it was just like that was it. He's like, "You're not going to do that again." He's like, you're not that person anymore. He's just like, "It's not going to happen." He's like, "We need you." And that was just like matter of fact. Like he knew, like, and I like that because he believed in me. It wasn't like he's, "Oh, dude, this." It's like he just it was confident, and then that instilled confidence in me that he said it so confidently. He's like recognizing in me, like, that's not you. Yeah. Like if I was still that person, he probably had a long talk with me and talked to me, but he recognized, like, "Dude, that's not you anymore. This is who you are. I'm recognizing who you are in this car today, talking to me. Like I'm confident that you're staying sober." Just like,
That's powerful. He almost put that like that responsibility on you, like he didn't even say like, "Don't ever do that again." He said, "You won't do that again."
Yep.
And you're like, "Oh shit, I better live up to that because this is a guy that I'm really admiring and he's helping save my life." Right.
Yeah. And he's very powerful with words. One thing I love about him, you can call it like, again, faith, and the Bible talks about it like not prophetic, but speaking by faith. Like that's how he is, but he isn't Bible thump, but just it's very biblical, it's very faith based. Again, like even with The Secret, it's very faith based. So I think there's universal laws, whether you're Christian or not, that we operate under. So if you're speaking and saying something, words have power. Like here's one thing I love about him. Like if I had an injury or an ouchie during training, he's like, "Don't ever speak about it. Don't recognize it." He's like, "If you speak about it," he's like, "Seriously, like, I want to hear about it." He's like, "That's it. Don't give it power."
Yeah,
if you say it's there,
yeah.
If you say it's there, then it's there. And you give it power. So I think when he speaks, it's, he chooses his words like wisely. He knows the power of words and what comes out of your mouth. So that's one big thing I got from him that I passed down to my clients too. And yeah.
So you have a personal training business, and do you train people at Gold's Gym?
I'm at a small gym. It's called Venator Athletics in Torrance, California. Cool. I was at Dave's for a while. My buddy owns Venator. It's a private training studio, so that's where I train out of. But yeah, I have clients now. I have about 8 or 9, maybe 10 people getting ready for a competition in Torrance, California called Muscle Icon. It's May 30th. It's funny because, and again, I'll go back to God and faith, where you guys believe it or not, is that I was training one day at Dave's about 2 or 3 years ago, and he told me, he's like, you're going to have a training program where you train people to get sober. And I literally was just like, I had an emotional kind of like response to it, man. It was just, and I was after I trained, and I was like, all right, God, okay. And it's about 2 or 3 years ago. Continue about my life, and I always had in the back of my head, I wanted to open a gym. And if you, there's a girl who opened it, I think Sober Fitness, and there's another one, I think Phoenix Gym. Mm-hmm. I forgot her name, but she opened a sober gym in Washington. Excuse me, I'm going off topic, but anyways, I felt like I was gonna have a gym for just people to get sober. So transition, long story short, 3 years later, a lot of my clients now, again, not anything of my own doing, are actually people that are out of rehab and are sober. Like 90% of my clients are people that are sober.
Wow.
And just kind of like what God told me back then, it's kind of like it just came true, but I didn't do anything. It's kind of like just, it happened. It's like that energy, it gravitated towards me. And 90% of my clients right now we're in rehab programs. Some are actually like 90 days sober. Some are 2 years sober. Some are a year sober. Some are 6 months sober. And it's a powerful thing, man, it's a position of responsibility. And it's very humbling to have these people come to me for insight and for coaching and for life, man. I'm just always surreal. And I'm just in awe to have that actually come true. And actually it hit me because I called my girlfriend. I was like, dude, I didn't tell you this. I told her, I was like, I didn't tell you this, but 2 or 3 years ago I had this vision, and now it happened. Just like this, you know. And now they're all getting ready for competition. Everybody's staying on point, you know. Everybody looks good, and just everybody's happy, and you know, it's pretty awesome. So
it seems like you went through all of that, like you went through all of that for the purpose of helping people come out of it. And also, I mean, the fact is, you're just like a massive presence as it is. You know, when you talk, people are going to listen to you based on just how you look. People are going to look up to you in that sense. So that's a massive fucking responsibility, but it looks like you're set up for it.
Yeah. Again, I think that it's nothing I did really like in an instant. It's just kind of like over time, I was able to prepare for it. It's just, you know, I did, because if I at that moment, when I feel like God told me that, if I would have just at that moment tried to do something and make it happen, it wouldn't have happened. I had to go through my journey for these past 2 or 3 years and just, you know what I mean? Yeah. And go through life's lessons and get stronger and do what I need to do to prepare for this moment that, you know. And again, it happened really quick. I didn't expect to have 8 or 9 clients that, you know, came from sober living, that are sober and don't drink alcohol and don't do drugs and just have all these backgrounds. And I'll get clients too, and I don't even know they're sober, and they'll come to me like, hey, dude, I've been 200 days sober. And it's like, what? And I'll just be in the car driving with them, dude, and it's like, yeah, I used to do this and that, but I'm like, whoa, you know? Yeah. And it's like, and somebody actually told me that too, and they were like, dude, like, yeah, everything you went through, like, prepares you, like, for right now. Like, one of my only clients that never touched anything he's one of my younger clients. He's like, if you didn't go through what you went through, you probably wouldn't have what you have right now and have, you know, the clients you have right now. Yeah.
And you have started up some other revenue streams as well. You started up another business, I believe, right? You and I were talking about some stuff, I think last time, but I'm not sure if you were able to get some of that off the ground or not.
Yeah, I have a clothing line, which we need to push. It's Trial and Triumph. I guess the motto of the brand is, it's a team. The team also is Trial and Triumph. It's without test, there is no testimony. Without trial, there is no triumph. So it's kind of like what it's about. Cool. And also, I'm in the hemp industry, so I'm a firm believer in CBD and hemp. We have farms in Tennessee, so we have like a farm collective. We started Bonafide Hemp Solutions. We do extracts, like, so if people want extracts, like to make the products, we do private labeling and white labeling, man. So we do all that stuff, and yeah, I got a lot of it off the ground. I've been in about 3 years already, and it's been an amazing journey. It's literally been like seeing a pile of crap. It's like maybe like a football field of crap. It won't even want to like walk in it to get to the end of where you're supposed to be, because this business, if you know, it's very dirty and there's a lot of money in it, but people are very greedy, and so people are very shady, and you know, I've been through a lot, man, in this industry. But my sole purpose was to help people. So I got into CBD, number one, is because I tried it myself. Because I didn't want to use marijuana anymore. Because I had a kid. I used it to help me when I was having the powerlifting, I would use THC vape for body pain to go to sleep, because I'd be home at night, my body was broken, I couldn't sleep. I take a hit of the pen, I'm going to sleep, my body feels good. I didn't like getting high. Did not like it, because I'm like, dude, what if something happens and I wake up in the middle of the night, my kid's here, I have to be sober. So I went to the dispensary, so they're doing so this girl had a vape pen for CBD. She's like, hey, it doesn't get you high, but it has very good medicinal effects for inflammation, for pain. I tried it, didn't get high, but my body pain went away. I was calm, I felt good, and I said, wow, this is pretty amazing. I went to go to the gym. There was a guy, I think 50 years old there, was old school, thought marijuana's the devil. Like you said, when you smell marijuana, want to run away from it, but he's using CBD. And I said, so from a personal standpoint, this is great because I love it, but from a business standpoint, I think it's going to be good because, if this guy's using CBD, it's going to be awesome. So got into CBD, started using it, and I've been able to get people off of drugs. So I've been able to get people off of like Oxycontin, Norcos, along with Kratom, which I know you love and you're into. So with the combination of Kratom and CBD, I've gotten people off of amphetamines, off of heroin, off of anxiety pills, off depression pills, off pharmaceuticals. And now they're able to.
It's huge.
Yeah, now they're able to use that in their daily lives, which is not addictive. There's no way it can kill you, and being able to help tons of people just live their daily lives. And the thing I love about it too is that you use it when you want to use it. It's like you're not addicted to it. So if you wake up one day and you feel good, you don't have to use it. You don't have to use Kratom or CBD. But if you wake up and you're in a bad mood, you're not feeling good, then you can use it. So yeah, the business is doing good, man. It's doing great. So.
What's the website?
Excuse me. So we have endoblue.com. So that's our retail line. And then we have bonafidehempsolutions.com for people that are interested in private labeling or buying hemp flower or getting extracts and stuff. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey man, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you coming out here today and sharing your story with our audience. There's so many people that continue to need more help with this, and I think it's awesome seeing your progression. It's awesome seeing you do bodybuilding and powerlifting. Are you you're gonna get ready to cut because you're pretty beefy at the moment, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm a little bit beefy right now, so I'm gonna get ready to cut and just I think I'm gonna stay just in that Michael Hearn, and like you just guys stay lean year round. I like being big, but at the same time, my kid's 5 years old and he runs around like a madman. And I'm thinking, okay, if this kid right now is running around like a madman and just, he's beating me on push-ups and burpees, I'm like, imagine when this kid's 10 or 16. So yeah, so I'm about to drop some weight down, get my lungs up, and have some fun, just kind of being like an athlete and just kind of exploring that for a little while too. So maybe hop on stage, and do another show, and yeah.
Cool. Where can people find you?
I'm in Torrance, California. So a lot of times I'm in the UFC gym down there, or Dave Fisher's, or Venator Athletics. So if you're in the Torrance area, that's where I am. You guys want to train, and like you said, I'm the same way. If you guys want to wake up early or just hop in with my workouts, dude. I'm always down to work out with people and share knowledge, man. I think it's the biggest thing we could do is just share knowledge and make sure people are working out and eating the correct way. So,
right. What's some of your social media handles?
L Keys Fitness for Instagram. That's pretty much it. I don't do Twitter or YouTube too much, so I try and limit how much I'm on there, man, because that's a whole different job, which So, yeah, L Keys Fitness. You can follow me on there, contact me on there. So,
Andrew, where can people find you?
At I am Andrew Z. Please follow the podcast at Mark Bell's Power Project on Instagram as well, and then at MB Power Project on TikTok, Twitter, Byte, and Nsima. Where are you at?
At Nsima Inyang on Instagram, YouTube, and Byte, and at Nsima Inyang on TikTok and Twitter. Mark?
Day 26 of World Carnivore Month. Thank you guys for those of you that are following along. If you haven't jumped in, you can still jump in because we got more challenges and more cool stuff going on. You can check out my Facebook page, which is Mark Bell's Carnivore Challenge. And you can also check out my YouTube, which is Mark Smelly Bell. My other handles are Mark Smelly Bell as well. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. Catch you all later.